If you were to take a look at Russell Westbrook's numbers this season, you'd see a career low in points, assists, and minutes, his lowest rebound total since all the way back in 2013. What I see is the most efficient season he's had in half a decade as both a scorer and playmaker, the most disruptive defensive season he's had, maybe ever, and a big-time bench piece who's making an impact on one of the NBA's top contenders. The Clippers starting unit is one of the slowest offenses in the NBA. Lots of set action for their star wings to run off screens, isolations from all over the floor, and of course the high pick and roll with James Harden leading the charge. As soon as Westbrook checks into the game, that all changes, bringing a high energy, fast-paced approach while everyone else buys in. It goes without saying that he's a big-time defensive rebounder, and as soon as he grabs the ball, everyone takes off down the court. From there, he'll find someone with a kick-ahead pass, which leads to some easy offense. Some of these are just ridiculous. Watch Daniel Tice streaking down the middle because Russ sees that in real time and patiently waits for the perfect moment to fire a bullet through traffic. Even though he fumbles, it still ends in a layup. When there's nobody leaking out for him to hit, that's when he'll put his head down and attack himself. Good luck slowing that down. Even at age 35, he's a force to be reckoned with in the open floor. After all, it's nothing we haven't seen during his 16 years in the league. And that ability to get into the paint seemingly at will creates a ton of pressure on the defense. What I'm focused on is who's around him though. Norman Powell, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden. Surrounding him with that much shooting is going to lead to lots of good opportunities. That's because he's such a good passer that he'll almost always find the open man. This time in midair, it looks like he's about to drop it off to Zubats, only to float it past him right into the shooting pocket of Paul George. To get Russ attacking downhill like this in the half court, they'll set ball screens early in the possession. As soon as he crosses the logo, he essentially has a path carved out for him. With a little burst and change of direction, he knifes his way to the rim. Of course, because of that athleticism, when the Clippers set these up, defenses also have to be prepared for him to reject the screen. If not, it's probably too late to recover. He's not just a threat to attack space downhill, but also laterally. Like I said, they've surrounded him with shooting so he can get into the dribble handoff game. Really, he can set up all sorts of action. This time he enters the ball to Harden in the pinch post and goes to set a cross screen for Powell, which he slips for a cut to the basket and easy finish. Here's that exact same play again. He knows the Warriors are looking to switch any screens and perfectly times up a dive down the middle with nobody in position to help. The big key is that he's finding ways to make an impact away from the ball. This one starts with him entering the ball to PG in the post, and as soon as his man leaves him to double, he darts down the lane and draws a foul. When Russ doesn't have the ball, he spends most of his time operating along the baseline. You'll see him float from block to block as he makes himself a target, and as we all know, he's more than comfortable finishing like a big. As a result, he has to be respected like one when he's flashing under the basket. And when another defender rotates down, that leaves an extra pass to the cutting Powell. Defenses don't want him catching the ball down low, so in the dunker spot, he actually has some gravity. Tice gets it in the middle, and notice how Clay drops back to Russ, which results in a quality floater. Here's another example. Kawhi draws 2 to the ball, creating a 4-on-3 advantage, and when Draymond recovers, he makes sure to take away that second pass to Russ. That leaves Tice with a mismatch to attack, and again creates easy offense. Playing 4-on-3 is kind of a theme within this Clippers offense, and because Westbrook's in the weak side corner, that means he's the one being helped off of, to which he counters by diving at the rim. This one starts with George drawing 2 off a screen, and as soon as it gets to the short roll, Kuminga slides up, forgetting that he's got a 6'4" lob threat to watch. Here's another example. This time it's Harden who creates the advantage, and Russ is actually wide open on a cut, but Tice misses him and instead tries a floater. No problem, because he can go up and get it off the glass. This season, he's averaging 2.3 offensive rebounds every 75 possessions, which is the most of any point guard by almost an entire rebound. He's constantly looking for opportunities to crash. Watch him on this one, kind of just floating down the lane as nobody pays attention, meaning there's nobody to box him out. Not that it matters much anyways. This time he actually is boxed out by Malik Monk and uses his vertical pop to beat him to the ball before throwing an up fake and drawing a foul. Sometimes you forget he's not a 7-footer. As Georgia attacks, they've got one guy down there, the point guard. You'll never guess who comes out of that packed paint with the ball and finds a wide open shooter in the corner. Active movement doesn't just apply to cuts or crashes though. Watch him here. He relocates from the corner to fill open space, which gives him a lane to attack and throw this beautiful laydown to Big Zoo. Here's another one that starts in the corner, but this time he's going to use open space to stampede at the rim, with the same result on a beautiful dump off. These quick drives off the catch have become a big theme in his game. When he catches at the top of the key, he could settle for the open three, but that's what Dallas wants. By instead putting it on the deck and taking Luka one-on-one, he ends up creating a layup. Of course, he's a threat to drive and finish. The bigger problem for defenses is dealing with that playmaking. On this one, he nearly buckles Aaron Nesmith on the look away. And just as easily as he can look off defenders to create dunks, he can do the inverse, faking a dump off before spraying it out to Kawhi, who has all the time in the world. Westbrook's ability to put pressure on the rim completely changes their shot diet when he's on the floor. This season, he's attempting about 10 shots at the rim every 100 possessions himself, while also assisting on nearly 4 more. That's about 14 rim attempts he's directly involved in. As a team, they shoot just 23 of those when he's not out there, which jumps all the way to almost 28 in his minutes. As a result of more inside scoring, they also get to the free throw line more, up from 23 to about 25. In addition to everything I've talked about, Russ is also averaging a career low 4.5 turnovers per 100. Even that has an impact on the team, turning the ball over almost 1 time more when he's on the bench. Here's the thing though, when you look at the overall offense, they're actually slightly worse when he's on the court. Now, it's worth noting that both marks being over 120 is absolutely not a negative thing towards Russ whatsoever, and more so speaks to how ridiculously good the Clippers are. With that said, when you dive a little bit deeper into the context, these numbers tell an interesting story. So far this season, Russ has played 683 minutes in lineups of 2 or less starters, and in that time they've had about a 117 offensive rating. In the 545 minutes he's played with 3 or more starters, that number is all the way up at 124. The league's average is about 116, showing that Westbrook's lineups are consistently above average regardless of who he shares the floor with. Whenever the big three of Harden, Kawhi, and PG is out there, it makes way more sense to have another shooter like Norman Powell, which is why Russ doesn't start or close many games. But in reduced minutes, his stints are absolutely vital in keeping the offense afloat, so don't overlook that. And in addition to everything he's providing on that end, he's been having one of his best defensive seasons. He spends most of his time matched up with wing creators, where he plays this super aggressive style of on-ball defense. Of course, he's quick enough to get in front of drives with the strength to hold his ground, but he also uses his length to hunt for steals. He's got some really sharp hands and knows how to time up his reach, so really he's a threat to pick anyone's pocket. The downside to such an aggressive style of defense is he puts himself in a more vulnerable position to get beat off the dribble. Only sometimes it feels like he actually prefers chasing from behind. He's absolutely devastating in rear pursuit. On this one, he's basically out of the play by the time Cam Thomas crosses half court, yet with a little burst of speed and a good leap, he's doing his best impression of prime LeBron. You'll have these possessions that are essentially a game of chase between cat and mouse, patiently following the ball at every turn as he waits for an opportunity to pounce. And these sorts of plays really speak to his unique physical tools. He'll make plays that others can't, like this one in the pick and roll where he's late to switch, yet still jumps in front of a pass for a steal. Or how about this play? He's getting ready to pick up Anthony Edwards at the point of attack, only to jump in front of an entry pass to Naz Reid. The best way I can think to describe his defense is that he's a nuisance. He won't let offenses set up in the way they want, disrupting their flow and forcing turnovers. You'll see him do this away from the ball as well. As Shea starts his isolation from up top, Russ loads up early at the nail to sit in a driving lane while still taking away a pass to the wing. He's got incredible instincts for jumping lanes. On this one, the Clippers double Ingram, and watch Russ rotate up from the paint for a steal. I love how he's not afraid to take risks. This time it's a pick and roll where Booker draws 2 to the ball, and before a roll can ever materialize, here comes Westbrook from the weak side to jump in front of the pass. Sometimes you'll even see him bait offensive players. It's not easy to fool Luka Doncic, but Russ starts to lift his position like he's rotating up, only to dart back to the corner and eliminate a skip pass. He's really a devastating playmaker in these spots. This season, he's averaging almost 3 deflections per 36 minutes, which on a team that already has the active hands of Harden, Kawhi, and PG, I imagine is pretty annoying. And the combination of deflections and on-ball pickpockets helps him generate a decent amount of steals, right now sitting at about 2.5 per 100, 14th in the NBA. It's not just turnover generation where he's made a difference though. In general, he's been making great reads as a helper. As soon as Nesmith starts his drive, Russ uses his speed to beat him to the front of the restricted area and draws a charge. Or how about this one where he's following De'Aaron Fox on a cut, only to peel off at the last second and meet Malik Monk vertically, which forces him to adjust his shot. Because of his physical tools, he actually offers somewhat of a presence at the rim when needed. This time he's forced to rotate down to the dunker spot and picks up an absolutely vicious block. Here's another play just like that. He's a little bit late sliding down to an open cutter, but remember when I said he prefers to chase from behind? That applies here as well. A lot of his plays as a helper are done intentionally late, and it all comes down to taking the right risks. I'm not sure how many players in the NBA have the guts to completely abandon Steph Curry. Russ sees an opportunity to make a play on the ball and sells out to make it happen. Look, I'm not going to sit here and act like he should make an all-defensive team, just that he's making an impact. The aggressive pressure both on and off the ball, the way he forces turnovers and makes offenses second guess how they initiate, all gets amplified by the fact that he's playing less minutes, giving him more energy to cause chaos. And that applies on offense as well. The fast pace, constant downhill attacking, and activity crashing the glass or moving without the ball have helped him bring value in a ton of different forms. He might not be the walking triple-double that he once was, but he's playing a vital role on one of the best teams in basketball. If that's not impactful, I'm not sure what is. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Westbrook. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.